As the military talks are going on, China is also expanding its military near the India-China border. India now buying lots of lightweight tanks to deploy in the Ladakh region. India to build roads in Bhutan and to challenge China in the South America. According to an American news media, the Newsweek says China is expanding its military near the India-China border as even the talks are going on. The news media claims the original news was published on the New York Times. According to the New York Times, it acquired satellite images of the valleys and mountains of the LAC. The Chinese troops have maintained position on the India sides of the frontier despite Modi's claims of victory. As the Chinese troops have not moved out of all parts of the LAC, still the talk is going on. As the Indian officials said before, the talks on the de-escalation will take times or months of process. Accordingly, it seems Chinese are still in some parts of India, and also China is heavily deploying troops near the China-India border. China also weekly increasing its military drill in the Tibet region. As the Indian opposition parties and the Indian media claims China did not move out of India. As there is no information or news or clarity on what's going on with the talks, no one can come to a solution or a conclusion. But India is not taking any chances. India is buying lightweight tanks to be deployed into the high altitude mountainous of Ladakh. India already has lots of battle tanks. For fast movement, India needs lightweight tanks. Indian battle tanks unit are heavyweight and they are also already deployed near the China-India border. India buying these tanks on an emergency and an urgent purchase. As China has massive extensive road constructions connecting total China, India is catching up to it. Already India is buying many other urgent military purchases. This comes at the time India and China talks are not getting results fully, and China is increasing military presence near the Ladakh region in the India-China border. While the US has prototype lightweight tanks, India can't buy it, and China is not an option at all. While Russia has an air transportable Sprut SDM-1 that has the capabilities of T-72 and T-90. India has proposed to build road in the Bhutan and Yeti territory, which China claims its territory. This road will enable India's easy access to the Tawang of Arunachal Pradesh. This will reduce the timing of Guwahati and Tawang by 150 kilometers, said by the Indian news media Economic Times of India. While India is pushing towards Southern America to challenge China as it deals billions of dollars in trade with South America. India plans to get some military deals with Chile in the coming Naval Expo in Chile. Now India to focus on the trade with Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Mexico, Peru and other countries. Mostly these countries looking to buy defense equipment. While China can also do the same to these countries by providing these products in very cheaply and fastly. India might face a tough challenge in competition, as these countries are already trading mostly with China. But India's biggest trump card will be the BrahMos, as many South Asian countries are very eager on buying and some South American countries wants on its purchase list. So what do you think of India building roads in Bhutan near the India-China border and buying tanks urgently, and China expanding its military presence near the China-India border? Does this mean that the de-escalation is not working out? The G20 surveillance note expects India's economy to grow at 7.3% in 2019 and 7.5% in 2020. The note said the recent manufacturing indicators points to a tentative rebound in the Asian and the Latin American countries except India. The note comes ahead of G20 finance ministers and the central bank governors meeting on June 8 and 9th. It has been prepared by the International Monetary Fund or the IMF staff, but does not necessarily reflect the views of IMF. The global growth is projected to remain stable at 3.6%, but will rely on the weights shifting towards the countries with relatively higher growth rates, mainly to the G20 emerging markets such as China and India. April 2019, the World Economic Outlook revised down the projection for the global growth to 3.3% in 2019, a 0.4 percentage points lower than the projected in October 2018. The official data released last week showed India's economy growing slower than expected to a quarter of 20, lower in the January-March period, dragging overall growth to the 5-year low in a fiscal year of 2019 to 6.8%, presenting the first big challenge for the second term for Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi-led government.
Global growth may slow in 2019 as worsening financial conditions combine with full employment and rising prices. Global stocks may peak sometime in 2019 if global economic indicators signal the gathering clouds of a global recession.
The Statistics Office had projected 7% growth in the second advance estimates released in February. Following on from this, the Reserve Bank of India is widely expected to cut interest rates on Thursday to bolster the flagging economy. While the rest of the emerging Asian and the Latin American countries mostly surprised on the downside in the first quarter on the weak investments and the exports. The recent manufacturing indicators point to a tentative rebound, except in India, said in the note.
We have had reasonable growth in Mexico and Brazil, but not too impressive. Mexico and Brazil make more than 60% of the Latin American economy. So if Mexico and Brazil don't perform better, the whole region as a whole is not going to perform better.
It highlighted that the emerging G20 economies, including India, are facing more binding constraints on fiscal space, often against a backdrop of high public debt and in some cases the sizable risk of premium. The government has met in a fiscal deficit target of 3.4% of GDP for the fiscal year of 2019, after sharply cutting spending towards the end of the financial year as revenue fell short of its estimates. As per the report, for some G20 emerging economies, high levels of public debate and the financing cost, along with the volatile commodity prices, could weigh on medium-term growth. The prospects and the convergence towards advanced economies with a constrained fiscal space and limiting investment opportunities. However, the note showed that in India, reforms to hiring and dismissal regulations would help incentivize forming or formal job creations. In commodity exports, the economic diversification remains essential for sustained strong growth. Since 2011 and 12, India's exports have been hovering at around $300 billion. During 2018 and 19, the foreign shipments grew 9% to $331 billion. Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, will briefly visit Sri Lanka on Sunday, during which he would hold a discussion with the President of Sri Lanka, Maithripala Sirisena, according to the President Office. The Modi will be the first foreign leader to visit the island nation after the Easter incident. This will be Modi's third visit to Sri Lanka. Earlier, he visited the country in 2015 and 2017. So what do you think of India is not growing as fast as other countries? While the new Prime Minister of India has more work to do, will he do in this 5 years? Or still the Indian economy is going to die slowly, or someone has to help it? While India's economy is growing at 7.3% in 2019, but it is rated to grow at 7.5% in 2020, according to a G20 note. Will this follow, or Except other countries, India is slightly going slower than last 5 years into coming 5 years. Post your comments below, and if you like this video, please give a thumbs up and follow us on social networks and subscribe to our channel. And thanks for watching. This is WC Daily. Think big, think different. Bye.